How's it going, brother or sister? It's been a while since I've posted a few days, but I'm really looking forward to this video because I believe this is the most genuine video that I've made in terms of really sharing my experience and what it comes down to. Now, I'm assuming you're somebody who's living alone or is going to move away soon, like a college student or something, but if not, you're welcome to stay. The lessons in this video are very, very valuable. Well, very quickly, I'm somebody I'm 20 years old. I'm a student who lives abroad and alone. My family is thousands of kilometers away in a whole other continent. And I'm just here to share with you some of the things that I learned over the past 2 years of doing so. Before I get started, I'm just going to preface by saying that I believe the last lesson is truly the most important one, so be sure to stick around for that. Without further ado, here's the first lesson. Living alone exposes you. Just in the same way that when you give somebody a bunch of money, you're going to truly see their essence and their character, and if they're greedy or if they're generous and so on. Living alone already exposes your foundation. If you as a person, if you as a person, you have weak foundation in terms of habits and things like that, being alone is only going to make it worse. And that was my case. I struggled a lot with bad eating habits, horrible eating habits, uh, just spending a lot of money and just food on food on takeout. And I've gained over 25 pounds over the past 2 years. And this all started because I hadn't solved that issue when I was back home. See, back when I was at home, it wasn't that bad. I would just go for like little snacks or things like that. But the thing is that the underlying problem was a lot bigger. And when I came to live by myself and I had no one to stop me, I cracked. And this caused a lot of problems when it came to my mental health and physical health. So I'm in the process of reversing it now and losing weight. I'm doing good. But the point that I want to come across to you is that it's going to expose your foundation. You're not somebody, you don't expect to change when you travel. It has to start before. And the same applies to any kind of addiction that you're facing, whether it's social media, food, corn, whatever it may be. Being alone is not going to solve your problems. It's just going to expose them even more. The second one that I came to acknowledge is to cherish my family. Now, I understand that you might not have the best connection with your family. You know, I'm very blessed and fortunate to have a wonderful relationship with my parents and my sister. However, I want to tell you that cherishing them doesn't mean being all perhaps lovey dovey and soft and that. It's just really appreciating them, you know, their sacrifice to be able to put me in this position or to put you in the position that you are. Just really living in the present moment and appreciating every little moment you have with them. Because right now, my case is that I see my family, and I'm very fortunate to have that privilege, which is to talk to them every single day over the phone. I get to see them. But, you know, it really puts into perspective that when I do travel back home once or twice a year, usually twice, 3 times a year, it's just a lot better when I see them because I know that I don't have that often. And they're typically the people that love you and care about you the most, you know. And the form of love they show isn't always the one you like. Uh, so yeah, the next point that I want to come across is that they're the ones that are checking on you. But the third lesson that I learned is that rarely anyone will ever check on you when you're alone, when you're abroad, when you have virtually no one and your family is thousands of miles away or hundreds of miles away even. No one's really gonna check on you in terms of in terms of the little things. Your health, both mental and physical, is your most important asset, and nobody's gonna make sure you have that down because I've been there. I can make it seem like things are okay. I can make it seem like on the outside I'm happy and doing well, but deep inside I know that I'm having my own battles to fight. I'm feeling under the weather, depressed, anxious, just fighting these thoughts and having your family think that you're okay, and you don't really have that many people around you, any close friends to share that with them. So you just keep it to yourself. And I'm here to tell you that this is your responsibility. You now have to take in a lot more responsibility than you're used to. You have to do your own dishes, do your laundry. And these are just very small things, pay your bills, take care of your health, make sure your house is clean. And all these are ideally built up from when you're not alone. Learning to keep your room clean, just washing that dish after you eat. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't have every single thing down, but I'm just sharing with you what I learned. So just understanding that you are going to be the only one to truly care about yourself. That's what you need to understand. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. I have to be here for myself. Then again, the fourth lesson that I want to bridge into is you got to find a good circle of people. Now, knowing people and being comfortable enough to let them into your life are two very different things. It's very easy to, bond with people on surface level, or maybe it might not be as easy to some of you, but there is definitely a surface level of ease that comes with just, talking to someone and breaking the ice. But truly having somebody to share some details of your life with, to share your values, to share things that you think are important for you, that's not as easy. And I encourage you to go and try and go out of your way and make those connections. I met one of my close friends online. He was a content creator, and he made content that I aligned with, which was self-improvement content. And he was in the same city that I'm in. I just messaged him, and we ended up meeting up, and now we're pretty close friends. And we're kind of like working together. We have some form of alignment in terms of our goals. But my point to you is, I want you to try and find that circle, not just any random one because you're a bit lonely, right? You need to find the good quality people, the ones that, perhaps if you have some high school friends going with you and you value them, then that's a good thing. But if you feel like you've got nobody, then it's on you to go find these people. Personally, I've found, I guess, online. That's one way you can do it. Sports, I find really easy as well to connect with people. I find that we sharing it's already a common hobby, it's already common ground rules, or it's a common ground to get to know somebody else. And my next lesson is the fifth lesson, and we are now close to the halfway point, is to hold yourself accountable. I cannot emphasize this enough. The only reason I have been depressed and have slacked off in my academics and my physical health, my mental health, is all because I was not able to hold myself accountable. I could not look myself in the mirror and tell myself that I did not do what I had to do. And the thing with living alone is that you just have so many more responsibilities piled up on you. And of course, it's nowhere as near as, being married and so on, but it goes from living with under a roof where you're provided for, taken care of, to having to do a lot more of that yourself. Buy your own groceries, make sure you're eating healthy. You now have really no more excuses to hide behind. It's very, very easy for me to sit here and play the victim and blame the job market and blame my professor and blame the fact that the course is difficult and that the algorithm is messed up. But the thing is, at the end, it's all your responsibility. You have to do everything in your power to take yourself out of the situation you want to take yourself out of. Really quickly, before I get into the next lesson, I want to know that if you're benefiting from the video, if you find this content somewhat valuable and entertaining or whatever it may be, I want you to leave your thoughts in the comments and just show some support, because it genuinely means a lot to me, and I would really appreciate it if you did so. On to the next lesson. I learned to ask for help when I need it. There's two different kinds of positions, right? I'm all for racking your brain and trying to figure things out on your own, because I believe that it's very important to be able to depend on yourself. However, there gets to a point where you not asking for help is coming from a place of ego, and you think that it's the manly thing to do to not ask for help because you have it all figured out. When in reality, in my case, I've moved to a completely different country, polar opposites in terms of weather. I am in a completely new academic system, and I'm in a whole new environment, living by myself. Did I try and do everything myself? 100%. I tried and to get things figured out. But sometimes I needed that guidance from certain people. I needed to know how to manage and deal with the environment around me. And I think there is a point where you have to distinguish between your ego or you genuinely trying to figure things out. Once you get that fine line between, once you get it down, then you got to ask yourself, am I refusing to ask for help from a place of ego or because I genuinely want to figure it out? Once you have your answer, you know exactly what to do. Oh my God, then this next one, it's been 2 years and I'm just thinking about it. It's about learning and learning a way where you can like manage your funds, your money. I did not have that in mind last year. Or maybe I did, but I was refusing to face my bad spending habits. See, I would spend a lot on food, on takeout. That was by far, I think, the category that has drained the most money out of me. And just refusing to face that and acknowledge the fact that my spending habits were, not right. Definitely, it cost me a lot. And it's only now that 2 years later or a year later that I'm thinking to myself, okay, how can I actually manage? How can I budget? How can I learn to, restrain myself when things get unnecessary? Or how can I set a budget for the week or for the month, depending on the income that I have? Then I realized that it's very, very important. If you have an allowance or something, just learn a very simple way. I can't tell you which way because it's only now that I'm trying to figure that out. But I suggest that you try and budget or do some kind of money managing with a smaller sum or with something, just because when you're going to be here and you're going to have more money, perhaps, or a credit card at your disposal, it's easy to just think that one more dollar spent is fine, or an extra outing is fine, when in reality, it's not. Lesson number 8. Wow, we're almost done. You will learn a lot about yourself and you will grow. See, living on my own, I have learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. And in hindsight, these mistakes only just are learning opportunities if I treat them as so. I have learned a lot and I will continue learning in terms of things that I like, things that I enjoy. A lot of things that I thought I liked or I thought I was meant to do in terms of academics, but I realized this is not for me. And I will continue to change my mind over and over again because that's part of life and that's growth. And just the fact that you have to take things into your own hands, take responsibility for your life, for your environment, and for everything like around you, it forces you to grow and it will teach you a lot if you treat it as so. Now, the penultimate lesson, which for those of you who don't know, including myself, a few years back or a few months back, penultimate is before last, so we are approaching lesson number 9. Keep doing what you love. For me, that's basketball. I love that sport. I really enjoy playing on the court. But I remember, when things got quote unquote serious and exam season was coming and, just life got in the way, I kind of neglected that. I neglected my hobby just to, focus on what's more important. And because I did not have very good time management skills, I would not really, I wouldn't be doing the important stuff like the academics a lot. And I would also skip on the basketball based on the fact that I'm studying, right? So if you have a life and you have a thing that you love and you take the thing out of it, your life isn't necessarily one you look forward to. So I suggest whatever hobby that you have, whatever it is, whether it's watching movies or whether it's playing sports or going out to explore nature, don't ever let the serious part of life take that away from you, because it's one of the only things you have in terms of personal joy. I mean, I'm all for eventually having a life where I look forward to every moment And I really, truly want to embody that. But if you have like a favorite thing you like to do, if you like to cook by yourself, if you like to play sports, then don't take that out of your day or your week. Give it a time as much as you can. If you can do that thing every day, go for it. If you can do it every week, that's still fine. But just make sure you have a slot for the things you love. And last but not least, I believe the most important lesson is to be compassionate with yourself. See, as I've already mentioned, this path to living on your own, to bettering yourself and achieving a better future for yourself, but most notably living alone, you will learn a lot. And by learning, it means making a lot of mistakes. And mistakes, if you do like me, you don't treat them as mistakes, you treat them more as failures and as ways to put yourself down and bring shame upon yourself. It will be your biggest cause of misery. It wasn't even the mistake itself, it was just your response to that mistake. If every time you fall back into a bad habit or a loop, you bring yourself down instead of trying to understand the mechanism behind it or understand where you fell, it's going to be a long day for you, my friend. You're going to go into so much more depression than you need to. Then instead of just focusing on, or instead of having one relapse, you're going to have 5, 10, just because you putting yourself to shame puts you in that cycle of trying to comfort yourself with the bad habits, but then feeling shameful because you comfort yourself with the bad habits. So you need to show yourself more compassion. And by compassion, I don't mean, justifying every mistake you make or making it um, a regular part of your life to just always keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Not at all. I mean that you should treat a mistake as such, just a mistake, and do your best to learn from it and overcome it next time. And for me, I believe the thing that helps the most is trying to get to the root of the problem. Truly understand to the most intricate detail you're able to through journaling or whatever introspection methods you might have, why that habit is recurring or why you're facing that problem. And eventually, just over enough time, you'll get over it. Fortunately, this video is coming to an end. Really quick, before I wrap up, I wanted to let you know that if you are going to live on your own soon, or to live abroad, or enter any form of new environment, I want you to treat the months you have leading up to that date as a training camp to solidify your base, to refine as much as you can, because I know we're not perfect and I know you're going to make mistakes along the way, but I want you to try and avoid as much of the things that I made, that I learned from over the harder and longer path. I just want you to kind of work on yourself at this base, build up good habits, better habits, financial, whether it's mental health, physical health. The more you take off of your plate right now, the better off you'll be. Now, if you really enjoyed this video and you found this beneficial, please let me know in the comments below. I really enjoy reading the comments and receiving the feedback. So just be sure to like and subscribe. It genuinely helps me keep making these kinds of videos. But other than that, it's been me. Take care. Peace.